When you hear the word Thermopylae, you immediately think of the Greek story. 300 noble Spartans standing alone against a sea of millions. A tragic, heroic defeat that defined the defense of freedom. We have all seen the movies. We all know the legend. But the history we inherit is always filtered through the eyes of the survivors. Roughly 1 in 10 history textbooks on the ancient world is written by the side that lost the war. The story of 480 BC is not just about Spartan sacrifice. It is about an unprecedented logistical marvel being systematically dismantled. It is a story about the largest superpower on Earth being completely undone by geography and bureaucratic error.
This is the perspective of the man who ran that empire, the great king, Xerxes. Let us look at the year 480 BC. Xerxes did not just possess a kingdom, he ruled a diverse fabric of nations spanning modern Egypt to India. He was not a barbarian brute, he was a micromanaging administrator, inherited from a lineage of administrators. His grandfather, Cyrus the Great, had conquered them all. Xerxes now had to logistics them into submission. The Greek historian Ctesias was the personal doctor to a later Persian king. He gained access to the ancient Persian royal archives. He did not describe the army as a horde. He detailed it as a clockwork machine, a perfect logistics puzzle.
Xerxes was a stickler for order. To feed an army this large in a land that did not produce enough grain, he had to build. His engineers carved a 2-mile canal through the Mount Athos Peninsula, allowing his navy to bypass dangerous storms. He lashed together hundreds of trireme ships to build a bridge over the Hellespont Strait, a 2-mile-long floating road for hundreds of thousands of feet to cross. Have you ever wondered what happens when your greatest strength becomes your fatal weakness? These massive engineering projects are not just military mobilization. They are data gathering. To cross that bridge or pass that canal, you have to be recorded. Every single man from every tribe had to be counted by name and region. This is how the real number, recorded in the Persian perspective, was formed. Ancient historians like Herodotus might inflate the number to 2.5 million for a great story, but the Persian data likely recorded a tight, organized force, closer to 200,000 highly trained specialists.
Xerxes valued meticulous discipline above all. When a single golden goblet went missing, entire supply companies were interrogated under torture. Precision was the core of their survival. By August 480 BC, this marvel of engineering arrived at the final choke point, the Malian Gulf Coast, the narrow pass at Thermopylae. It was barely 15 yards wide in most places. Xerxes looked at his maps. His logic dictated that his massive machine could easily squeeze through. He saw no other possible outcome. His scouts reported the obstacle, a ragged low wall and a small force of Greeks doing gymnastics. The Greeks were just Spartan soldiers exercising while they waited. Xerxes did not attack immediately. He waited. He presumed that when the Greeks saw the scale of his precision logistics, they would simply pack up and go home. In the Persian mind, math won battles. Who would be foolish enough to fight a machine that could build a floating road?
But 3 days passed. The Greeks did not leave. Xerxes lost patience. He ordered his median infantry units forward. They were trained specialists. They were light. They were fast. They moved like mercury across open plains. But they were equipped for wide maneuvers. They carried light wicker shields. The Greeks waiting for them were Spartan hoplites. They were not light. They were heavy, slow, bronze-plated machines of biological combat. They formed a phalanx wall, a solid interlocking shell of bronze shields.
When the fast-moving Medes hit the bronze Spartan wall, the law of physics took over. It was not a battle, it was a physics experiment. What happens when lightweight objects are compressed into heavy bronze? The wicker shields of the Persians offered zero resistance. The Medes fell in piles, not from wounds, but from the crushing pressure of the bodies being forced into the Spartan line. Xerxes, watching from his throne, saw his fast movement specialists systematically erased by their own forward pressure. It was logic applied backwards.
But Xerxes had a second hand, the answer to every obstacle, his final 10,000, the Immortals. This elite force is defined by its faceless conformity. Identical masks, identical numbers, identical replacements waiting in the shadows. The Greek legend describes them as ghosts that could not die. The Persian truth was that they were the ultimate bureaucratic standard. Xerxes deployed his faceless replacements. He assumed that their visual perfection and reputation would mentally break the Spartans. But in that narrow pass, the Spartans did not care about standard procedures. They fought like animals. The Persian historians noted a terrifying reality. In the final desperate clash, the Spartans did not just use spears. When their weapons broke, they fought with rocks. They fought with their teeth. They were biological weapons stripped of civilization.
For the first time in Persian memory, standard formatting and endless numbers did not win. The Spartans were not a phalanx anymore. They were a virus in the system. The narrow topography of Thermopylae was the bottleneck that allowed them to overwrite the entire Persian code of warfare. The Immortals broke not because they were defeated, but because the Spartans introduced an error that a bureaucracy cannot process. The myth is that 300 Spartans died to save Greece. The history is that Xerxes spent a generation building the perfect logic, only to watch it collapse in a single week because he could not understand an enemy that valued sacrifice above victory. We focus on the heroes. We should study the machines they broke. Are we building our systems to withstand the standard procedures or the viruses we haven't seen yet?